Hey guys, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Welcome back from spring break. We hope that you are well. We hope that you had a good spring break and that you had time to relax and enjoy some hobbies that you might not have been able to enjoy when we were doing our e-learning. But anyway, now we're back and we're going to start our new unit. Excuse me. We miss you. We hope that you and your families are doing well. Today, the homework that goes hand in hand with this video is homework number 8. It will be posted in Google Classroom. If you don't have a printer, that is totally okay. You can always just write down the problems on a scratch sheet of paper and submit it to Google Classroom that way, okay? If you have any questions, just reach out to us. So I'm going to piece out this little box right here. We're going to get started with our new unit. Okay, so to help us with our new unit, let's go over some words that hopefully some of us are familiar with. So if we look at the word tricycle, right, we know that it's got 3 wheels. Someone who is bilingual, like Ms. Medrano here, I know English and Spanish fluently. Bilingual means I know 2 languages, right? So tri gives us 3 wheels and bi gives us 2. Someone who is monolingual only knows 1 language. And next year in geometry, you guys will be studying polygons. And polygons are shapes with many sides, okay? So these prefixes, just to summarize, mono gives us 1, bi gives us 2, tri gives us 3, and poly gives us many. Now, these prefixes are important because they help us identify types of polynomials. Now, polynomials are expressions. So we've been working with expressions all year in Algebra 1, but now we're going to start giving them names. So there are monomials, there are binomials, and there are trinomials. Okay, now it's important to note that all 3 of these are considered technically polynomials. Okay, they all fall under that same umbrella. So on this next page over here, there's a table. I want you to hit pause on this video and copy it on the table, and then we'll start talking about them together. Okay, welcome back. So let's take a look at these expressions, okay? All of these expressions right here, these are all polynomials, okay? That's what I mean when I say polynomials. All of those expressions are polynomials. Now, polynomials can have 1, 2, 3, or more different kinds of terms. Excuse me. If we look at that first one, negative 3x to the 5th, that has 1 term, okay? 1 term. Negative 3x to the 5th is just 1 whole term. If I look at this next one, x squared plus 7x plus 12, I've got 1, 2, 3 different terms. So this one has 3 terms. X plus 5, those are 2 different things being added together so that expression has 2 terms, okay? Now this one, 4x to the 7th is 1 term. Negative 8x to the 4th is another term. 1 is a term. And then negative 3/2 times x to the 3rd is another term. So this expression has 4 total terms, 4 different terms, okay? Now, when I'm asking you guys for the type, I'm asking you guys to classify these as monomials, binomials, trinomials, or polynomials, okay? Now, if you remember what I said a couple seconds ago, I said that all monomials, binomials, and trinomials are considered polynomials. So one thing that we know is true for each one of these is that all of these are, we can call them polynomial. Okay, so this negative 3x to the 5th is a polynomial. X squared plus 7x plus 12 is a polynomial. X plus 5 is a polynomial. 4x to the 7th minus 8x to the 4th plus 1 minus 3/2 x to the 3rd is a polynomial. Okay, but then we can be a little more specific with some of these. So for example, this expression, negative 3x to the 5th, had 1 term, so I can be specific and call that a monomial because it's got 1 total term. The one right next to it had 3 different terms, so we called that a trinomial. X plus 5 had 2 different terms, so that we called a binomial. Okay, and we don't really have a formal word for something with 4 terms, so we're just going to leave that as a polynomial, okay? But for the first 3, they were polynomials, and then we gave them a more specific name, okay? So they are both of those things. Now, for some of these, another question that we would ask you is, what is the coefficient? Okay. Now, for something like negative 3x to the fifth, for the coefficient, I'm going to be looking at the number that's in front of your variable. The number in front of my variable is negative 3. So that's going to be my coefficient. Okay. But for the next one, I've got 3 different terms. Okay. And so if I'm asking for the coefficient, I need to be specific. So it says I want the coefficient of the x squared term. So I'm going to go over here to x squared, and I want the number in front of this variable. But the problem is that there's no number in front. So that must mean then that the coefficient is 1. Okay, it can't be 0 because 0 times anything would be 0, meaning x squared wouldn't even be written there if that was the case. Okay. For the next one, if I'm looking for the coefficient of the x term, that's x right here. Again, there's nothing in front of there. So the coefficient is 1. And then for the next one, the coefficient of the x to the 4th term, well, x to the 4th is right here. And the number in front is going to be negative 8. Okay, so far we've gone over the type of expression it is, and I've asked you for the coefficient of some specific terms. The other question that I can ask you is, what is the degree? Now, when you guys think of degree, what do you think of? Okay, some of you probably thought of like a college degree, like a temperature degree, or like a degree in angles for some of you who have gotten a preview of geometry. So degree can mean many different things, but in the context of Algebra 1, we're going to say that the degree is the largest exponent of a variable has in a polynomial. So really quickly, an example. If I have this expression, 4x to the 3rd, the largest exponent in this expression is 3. So the degree is 3. If I look at the next one, 6x plus 5x to the 3rd, well, what's the largest exponent I see? That's 3. So the degree is 3. Negative 11x to the 4th plus 16x squared. Again, look for the highest look for the highest exponent. The highest exponent I see is 4. So the degree of this expression is 4. Now let's go back to our table. Okay, so now I want you guys to fill out this bottom row, and we're going to find the degree of each of these. Okay, the degree of negative x to the 5th is 5. That's the highest exponent. The degree of x squared plus 7x plus 12 is 2. That is the biggest exponent I see. Now in x to the x plus 5, I don't see any exponents, right? I'm just looking for the variable. I'm looking at the variable. However, there is an exponent of 1. So the degree of this expression is 1. And then the degree of the last one is going to be 7 because it's right here attached to that 4x. Okay, attached just to the x. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do some mixed practice. Go ahead and hit pause on this video, copy down this table, and I think that first one is actually copied down. Yep, so let's change this up. Let's say that this one is going to be negative 3x, let's say, to the 11th. Okay. Copy down this table, and when you come back, we'll go over the answers. Okay, welcome back. All right, so the purpose of this new table was for you guys to get practice on your own and then check your answers, okay? So in this column, I wanted you to write down the number of terms. In this column, I wanted you to write down the type. So remember, the type could be polynomial, monomial, binomial, or trinomial. Okay, remember the degree is basically the highest exponent, and the coefficient is the number in front of the specified term. Okay. So on the next slide, I'm just going to show you the solutions, and I want you guys to check your work. All right. Here are your answers, except I did change this first one. This was negative 3x to the 11th, and it really doesn't change anything except the degree. So the degree is no longer 5. The degree is 11. Okay, so I want you guys to check your work. If you got all of these correct, then you should be good to go on the homework. And that's pretty much all I have for you in this video today. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to send us an email or come to office hours so that you can get your questions answered. Again, we miss you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below because now Miss Medrano is a real YouTuber. Alrighty, guys. I hope you have a good one.